Hey guys, what's going on? This is John from Friends with Your Benefits. You may recall from an earlier video that when I was a baby, I had a rare form of cancer. And while I definitely made a full recovery, one of the side effects of my treatment is I actually have very minor hearing loss. Now, over the years, I've been able to manage with it, right? But when COVID happened and the masks actually came out, I really realized that it became tough for me to rely on actually reading people's lips for those words that I had trouble understanding. And I started doing some research. So, part of my research is I found out that there's a company out there that actually does provide virtual hearing exams. And I went through, I did a overview of the product, and I spoke with an audiologist, and the audiologist was able to measure my progress. And the cool thing was they were able to show me how to actually take my AirPod Pros and reprogram them to kind of serve as de facto hearing aids. So I thought this product was really cool and worthy of a conversation. So I was able to connect with the CEO of the company out there called Tune. So Danny Aronson is here today. And Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for having me. And it's great to be here, and I'm excited for our conversation.
Definitely. So, Danny, before we get started, it's really cool. And we have a co founder and CEO on the show. So, really want to hear about your background and really what it was like starting a company.
Absolutely. Actually, Tuned is my fifth company, so I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Wow.
I, I like building. I like building stuff from scratch. That's kind of what gets me going,
Hmm.
and everything has been around sound and audio and assisted hearing, and that's kind of been my focus. But Tuned is actually my fifth company. I started out as a musician. I have a degree in music
Hmm.
composition from the Tel Aviv Academy of Music, like old school writing scores.
Yeah.
I then started a small studio that later became Israel's largest post-production sound studio, doing a lot of sound design for feature films and advertising and documentaries and stuff like that. Did that for 20 years, sitting in a room 12 hours a day designing sound.
Hmm.
And I was also a tank commander in the Israeli army. And like every vet everywhere in the world, I have moderate hearing loss and tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. I
Sure.
started my journey around hearing care about a decade ago, a little bit more than that. And really kind of, it sounds highfalutin, but it's true. My mission in life is to make hearing care as affordable and as accessible to everyone, just like dental and vision, which is where it needs to be.
Sure. So that definitely is a lot right there. And it's really cool. So you really have a background in music and founding companies. So how long has Tune been around now?
Tuna's been around for 2 years. We kind of American healthcare is a strange beast in and of itself, and within that kind of weird category, there's hearing care, which is even more kind of ossified and
Hmm.
ineffectual. And we were really, again, our goal is to make hearing care, and when I say hearing care, I think we'll touch on this more in detail, but we're
Sure.
talking about comprehensive hearing care, not just this traditional focus on hearing aids, as affordable and as accessible as possible.
Hmm.
There's really no reason why a standard benefit, standard benefits that people get are dental and vision, but they don't get an annual hearing screener, which is what they need to get, and sit
Right.
down with an audiologist. And we basically built a platform that connects patients with audiologists.
Hmm.
We are a clinically led company. So Dr. Heather Malick, who's our head of audiology, together with a really expert, amazing team of audiologists, are the guiding light of how we build the system. So everything goes through them. They're the ones that dictate, levels of care, what types of product go on the market on the platform. Manufacturers cannot, there's no marketing stuff they can do to get on the platform. They can't buy their so they have to go through a very rigorous process from our audiology team to even get accepted as a
Hmm.
product that we would recommend to patients, which is very unique. And we are brand agnostic, so we're not owned by any of the manufacturers. Traditionally, hearing care is a very, very, very monopolistic category. It's owned by basically five companies.
Hmm.
It's a vertically integrated category. So the hearing aid manufacturers actually own a lot of audiology clinics, and
No
that has
kidding.
created. They actually own the clinics, yeah, and that has created a distortion field where the actual kind of business economics or the business metrics of audiology are units sold of hearing aids. That's the business model, and that has been the business model for about 40 years. Prior to the Reagan administration, audiologists could not dispense hearing aids. Because,
Really?
yes, there was deemed
I
to
did not
be
know that.
a conflict of interest.
Hmm.
If the audiologist needs to sell you a hearing aid and that's their business model, they will try to sell you a hearing aid and they will focus on that. During the Reagan administration, that was changed. And what we've seen over the past 40 years is exactly that. There's a basic conflict of interest in audiology because their business, their unit economics are selling products, selling a particular product to a particular type of hearing loss, which is severe hearing loss. And the particular product are hearing aids. And we were kind of looking, and I think there's a perfect storm happening around hearing care right now with the regulatory changes around OTC, which are completely transfiguring the market, not just in terms of the devices, but in terms of awareness, in terms of people's understanding of the importance of hearing, and new technology. The hearing screener that you went through the platform, and we'll talk about what it looks like, was not possible to do like 5 years ago. So this is something that we're able to do today and is clinically validated. So it's as good as going to or comparable to going to an audiology clinic.
So definitely really neat, right? And I obviously had the opportunity to go through the platform, but many of our viewers out there haven't, right? So when I think of like the hearing exams, I think the last time I had an in-person hearing exam was probably right. Yeah, raising your hands when I was 17 or 18, and raise left, raise right, what have you, right? So why don't you walk me through how the virtual hearing exam actually works with Tuned?
Absolutely. So our hearing screener is a 3-part hearing screener. It is the most advanced online hearing screener available today. The first part of it is a questionnaire. So we're looking for red flags. I'll give you an example. If you suddenly lost your hearing in one ear yesterday, you need to go to an ENT. That's a medical issue.
Sure.
And there are certain other types of red flags that we're looking for. So the first part is a qualified questionnaire. It's called the CEDRA questionnaire. And then we do 2 different types of hearing screeners. The first one is kind of like the classic pure tone screener. Basically, what we're trying to understand is we break down your kind of spectrum of hearing into frequencies. We go from low to high, and we try to understand what is the minimum volume you can hear a specific frequency in each ear. That's basically a pure tone test. It's a standard test. And the one that we use and on the system has been clinically validated. Another one is a new type of hearing test, which is called the digits and noise. Digits as in numbers. And the idea there is that you hear background noise and you hear somebody say numbers, typically 3 numbers, and in each ear, and you need to type in the numbers that you hear. This simulates a more realistic kind of hearing evaluation, because none of us, we never hear in complete silence. We're never in a like in an anechoic chamber or in a closed. So it simulates kind of hearing and your ability to hear in noise, which is a huge issue for many, many people. It's called the cocktail party problem, or if you've ever been in a noisy restaurant, if you've ever been in a bar and there's music and there's a lot of noise, that's me too. That's my smile and nod. I'm like, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and you have no idea what people are talking about, or it's difficult to hear. So we do the digits and noise. The entire thing takes between 10 to 15 minutes. It's very comprehensive. You can do it at home. You can do it in the office. You don't need any type of specialized equipment, just your own headphones, wired or Bluetooth. And at the end of it, both you and the audiologist can see the results. If you type in online hearing test today, like on Google, you'll find hundreds of them. Typically, they are kind of marketing tools for clinics or hearing aid manufacturers. It's typically like 4 frequency pass-fail tests. It's just the pure tone test and just 4 frequencies. And it's basically a way to get you into the funnel for hearing aids. Our vision is very, very different in the sense that both you and the audiologist can actually see the results. And once you've completed it, you actually sit down with an audiologist who is a hearing specialist. So an ENT is an ear, nose, and throat specialist. An audiologist is a hearing specialist. You review the results together. And what we found through many, many years of doing this, people with any type of hearing issues are not a one, there's many different types of people, many different types of issues. Do you need this for work? Is it a cocktail party problem? Do you need to, watch TV, be able to listen to music. There are many different types of issues, and there are many. I'm very happy to say, in terms of the technology, the way technology has progressed, we now have so many different options to offer you. Not just, okay, you're not a good fit for a hearing aid, come back to me next year,
Right.
and
Yeah.
let's see what happens. And also, a huge part of it is conservation. You are not destined to have severe hearing loss. We can conserve your hearing. It's very easy and simple to do,
Good to know.
and it's definitely something that our audiologists take a keen interest in, and are able to help you out with that.
No, definitely, Danny. I mean, you covered a lot of interesting points there, a lot of technical things about hearing. So, really cool and awesome to know that. So, Danny, one final question for you, right? So, let's say you're trying to, communicate with someone who has some form of hearing loss. Any suggestions? Like, obviously, yelling at the person isn't the right thing to do, but a lot of people do that because they get frustrated. So, what would your recommendation be?
Talk to the person. Look at the person when you're talking to them. If their back is to you, they're doing something in the kitchen or something like that. Speaking to them, they won't hear you. So
Hmm.
try and make eye contact. It really helps people with hearing loss, and especially if they can also kind of lip read. And it was interesting that you said about the masks, because I've heard that many, many, many times, that people
Hmm.
were suddenly aware they have an issue because they're reading lips all the time. So talk to a person where you make eye contact. Try and not have like music in the background, the TV in the background. If you're having a family gathering, try not add more noise to the environment, because it makes that a little bit more difficult for people with hearing loss to understand. Be a little bit patient.
Awesome. Well, Danny, really appreciate you coming on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. And for our viewers out there, we want to hear from you guys. If you're an employer, is adding a hearing aid benefit or perhaps doing a virtual hearing exam something that you imagine you can provide to your workforce in the future? And if so, what do you think that would look like? Comment below.